How's it going, YouTube? op.poker James here. So today we're looking at a $1 2x multiplier spin and go sent in from Stroemsoe. Stroemsoe is someone that's on our Discord and occasionally sends in some hand histories. I think that they will be fairly competent compared to the player pool. So let's see how they do. $1 spins, 2x multipliers. I'm kind of expecting some crazy stuff. I think generally speaking, when you look at these, outside of the Tetris promo at least, players really don't care about winning a 2x. Now you should, and we're going to look at how to play against those kind of crazy players. I'm guessing. We'll see how it goes. So before we start, I just wanted to let you know that Stroemsoe sent 2 session reviews in, luckily, because the first one, I just went through it just 10 minutes ago, recorded a lot, then realized I was muted the whole way through. So luckily we got this one. I don't really like doing session reviews where I've seen the whole of it, so we're going straight into this one instead. It's a 5x multiplier at the $1 limit, and we don't know either opponent. No HUD. Okay, good. Let's go. When it comes to HUDs, I would recommend to not be using one on micro stakes and low stakes. I would say the really important thing is focus on not making any huge mistakes. HUDs just add more reasons why you might make big mistakes. So leave that out of your game for now. Personally, that's what I would be doing. The only time or instance that would change is if you're playing heads up against the same opponent repeatedly. Then maybe you want to look at sorting out some sort of heads up HUD of some regard. But yeah, on stars, in fact, most sites in general, when you're playing lower micro stakes, you're going to be playing lots of different opponents. So no need to be looking at those kind of things. Anyway. First hand, we got a min raise from Salomon. Generally, out of position min raises 25 big blinds deep, not the best play, generally speaking. You want to be raising a little bit larger than what they have, because otherwise, you in the big blind, in position on them, can call very wide. You can call 80% of hands, like really, really wide, and just outplay them post flop. On this ace jack 6 board, I like calling the flop bet against what was it, min bet here. They bet again on the turn. I wouldn't be folding. I just think the sizing is too small on the flop and the turn for me to want to be folding any pair. But it's okay. Really, generally speaking, when you're facing 2 bets and you've got bottom pair, you want to be folding. But because they've bet so small, not once but twice, I don't want to be folding any pairs here. I expect them to have queen high and king highs often enough. Oh yeah, maybe even just trash. So we make a 2.5x open with a 7. And get it through. Other things you could do there is raise bigger, or you can raise 3 big blinds, or you could limp there as well. I think those are all options. Really, when it comes down to it, you need to have that strong pre-flop strategy. Just as long as those are balanced, we don't have to worry too much about what we're doing with exact hands. Over on our low stakes spin and go course, we do have pre-flop solutions for how to play in those games for low stakes spins, which includes a limp and a 2.5x range. So it's mixing limps and raising, but there are ways upon which to just have raise only ranges which don't lose too much EV. So I don't know what Stroemsoe is doing. Are they doing a mixture of limping or raising or both? But yeah. From the individual hand, it's okay. King 10, we're going for a raise. Get one fold and a call. This ace-jack board, now generally on ace-high boards, it's okay to just bet every single time. On low stakes, I think a lot of people are raising, if they are free betting, it's normally an ace-type hand. So we can often just get lots of folds having the edge. But King 10 is the kind of hand that can go to showdown. A queen would be a very disguised nut straight with the nuts. You can call at least one bet's worth because you've got good showdown value with king high and you have the gut shot for any queen. So yeah, I don't mind playing a bet or a check here. Generally, I like to keep things simple on the low stakes and the micro stakes. So I would be, if checked to, I would just be betting. It does seem that you're getting from what I've seen from these session reviews, a lot of people leading out on boards they just shouldn't be. And this is great for you because you've got the really strong range. So in general, they're just putting themselves in an absolutely horrendous spot. This time, it's a very easy hand to just call with. You could be still winning with king high and you got the draw to better. So yeah, fairly easy. I like making the label. Now, when I was muted, I did go through quite extensively why I think the labeling system that you're using is too many labels. Basically, just comes down to it. I think there are too many different types. Yeah, there are a few things. So you got some Grand Tour labels. There are a few Grand Tour only labels that are worthwhile, but you do not need that many. Nowhere near that many. And I think it just gets confusing if you have too many labels. Anyway, that's okay. Don't be folding, please. Yeah, no, it's a far too strong a hand to be folding there. They could, for example, have a hand like 3-5, 4-3 suited, all these gut shot type hands. They could just have random trash. They could have a hand like Queen 10. Even if they have a hand like a 2 or a jack or pocket 5s, you're still in a good shape. You're in position. You can come back from the spot where you're at. So yeah, I think that's a quite bad fold actually. Not just a little mistake. I think that's a fairly large one. I am saying this comparatively to what I've seen of your play so far. So in the one we just watched, you did play very well. I think that's the biggest mistake I've seen so far. So I'd like to sort that out. Blind v blind, hitting the flush on the turn, very nice. I do like that you checked behind this board. Generally, when you're checked to on an ace-high board, unless you're playing a very weak player, I think most of the time your opponents are nearly always have either a trap or showdown value, nearly always. So there's very little point in betting. You just want to check back and hope to hit your strong draws, and then you start building up the pot, which is what has happened. They've bet small. I would want to be raising right now. I think they can often have an 8. They can often have an ace. They can often have a good diamond. I can imagine them having, for example, king queen with a king of diamonds or queen of diamonds. I can imagine them having a hand like ace 5. I can imagine them having a hand like 8-9 and then not understanding, like they can't figure out what you would call with because they don't expect you to have many aces. So yeah, overall, against that bet, I'm raising it all the time, and all of those hands you're just getting value from because they're not going to be folding any of them. So I think that was a mistake. I think this was also a quite big mistake in comparison to what I've seen. So yeah, they had 5-10. So would they have called your turn raise? I'm not sure. I would have made it about 4 to 6 big blinds, the raise size. Anything between that is all good to me. How they played it, I don't think there's too much to say on it. They just didn't bluff in a spot where I'd expect them to, but apart from that, it's all good. Yeah, I prefer raising the turn. And I think it's just plays a lot easier. Let's say you do raise the turn and then this diamond comes out on the river and then they shove on you. on micro stakes and low stakes, I think you can get away with from this hand, because they need to turn very odd specific hands into bluffs. They need to be turning maybe even ace-x hands or pocket nines or 7x type holdings into bluffs, which is just quite rare. I just don't see that happening. So I think you could raise the turn. If the diamond comes out and then they shoved on you, you can fold. Let's say you raise the turn, they called, they checked this 2 of diamonds river. You can check behind, unless you know they're a station, then you're trying to get value from ace-x and 8x. But yeah, I think raising the turn was the play there. 2 3-yard fold. Got some heads up action. Let's see if they do anything odd. So it's a half pot sizing and a call. Half pot again and a call. River completes a few of the straight draws, so there might be occasional limps. I don't think, yeah, I think this is another example of where the labeling system is a bit gone awry. I don't think they were particularly aggro in that 10-5 hand. They raised pre-flop on an 8-8 ace board. They checked, they gave up pretty much on the flop. You check behind on the turn, they bet with a 10 high flush draw. It's not terrible. Yeah, I just, and then on the river, they bet small, right? Yeah, so fairly normal standard play. This one, they half pot the flop, half pot the turn, pot bet the river. We don't see what they have, so again, I wouldn't put that they're being particularly aggressive yet. Quite short now. Button play from this kind of stack size onwards, just play push or fold. It's not worth trying to min raise and then min raise fold at this stack size. Generally speaking, I would recommend, if you're still struggling with pre-flop, 13 big blinds and less from the button, I would recommend playing push or fold, 13 big blinds and less, effective, so effective stacks. But yeah, definitely under 8 big blinds, just play push or fold. Now we got another hand here that I think is a mistake. It's a fairly easy shove, I would say. Jack 5 suited. 7 big blinds out of position. I would just be playing according to the heads up Nash push or fold charts. So you might want to check those out and figure out what that is. I'm just playing all in or a fold because you're out of position. Playing post flop out of position sucks, especially when you're short stacked. So yeah, that's what I'd be doing. I think you had the right idea, but then made the fold. I think it's a definite shove. King queen, easy shove. Take it down. But yeah, it can be a little bit tough learning these kind of push ranges, especially if you don't have charts. If you get our low stakes spin and go course, you get charts for all these positions. But if you are looking for some free ways upon which to do it, there's a program called Simple Nash that you can download that you can create. You can look at how wide you should be shoving from the button in these spots, how wide you should be shoving from small blind versus big blind. It can be quite useful, and that's free to use, I believe. So it's got a lot of free to use parts at least. So give a look at that. Just Google that one. 6-4, we checked the flop. I would be kind of tempted to bet here with 6-4. On the 8-8 ace board, we saw them check with 10-5, which isn't expected. On the 8-9-4 board, I guess I would be betting, just trying to get a bit of protection for my hand. And if we are raised, I just expect it to be a very strong hand that we can just fold from against this opponent. If I was playing a very good reg, then yeah, I think it's okay to check behind or bet call. Anyway, yeah, they've got 7-3 off. What do we learn from this? They're playing far too wide from small blind against your big blind. So what do you want to do from now on? I just want to make sure. Yeah, they did limp. So if they are limping, I would attack those limps very wide. Anything at all, I would raise small. I'd raise it like 2.5 big blinds. Attack that because they're playing far too wide. And what's most likely going to happen is they'll just immediately fold. And if they do call, then they're probably going to fold a lot on the flop. So we're just really exploiting them, looking as strong as we can while they're as weak as they are. Yeah, ace king, fairly standard shove. Ace king again, we go for the min raise. Yeah, you could just shove as well, but no problem. King 10 board, hitting the top pair, top kicker. Let's get some money in that pot. I do recommend for most players just to start by only really using one sizing on the flop while you're getting used to spinning goes, and that's 1/3 pot. It's very rare that it's a bad play to make. Now, here with the ace-4 is a spot where I'll just shove against the limp. We saw him playing 7-3 off. That's so much wider than what you should be playing. I am just going for him. I'm gunning for him. If he wants to call me wide, go ahead, because we know he's full of trash. So yeah, easy shove in my opinion with ace-4. But now we've let him see a flop, and it's going to be tough to play. I don't like folding. You're in position here. You know how wide his range is. I don't think you want to raise though. Yeah. Okay, it's not amazing. Okay, I can live with a fold. But yeah, I wouldn't be folding. I would have called. It's not a big mistake. I wouldn't say that's something that you really need to worry about or look at. Queen Jack, personally here, my personal play is to min raise and then call against a shove. It's all down to what you've decided your pre-flop plan is. As long as it's balanced, as long as if you are min raising here, you are calling the right frequency of hands. You're shoving the right things. As long as you do that, it's all good. Yeah, I think Queen Jack plays quite well post flop, so I don't mind min raising. But if I did min raise, I presume they're shoving. I presume we call, and then we're basically flipping, and we win the flip. Nice. So we've got a heads up battle now. I think you do have the wrong label on this opponent. You put aggro. I don't really agree with that. I think limp trapping force is still a good play though. Limp shove, I like it. Just try and take those 2 big blinds from them. I think post flop they haven't been maniacal enough to have that label. Easy fold. Easy fold. Easy all in, no matter what they do. I wouldn't make the small ISO. A few of these session reviews I've actually seen people make the small ISO sizings with offsuit aces. I really dislike doing this because for many reasons, but especially if you're trying to minimize mistakes. Trying to play ace-9 off post flop after you've built up the pot is so tough to play. You need to be very good to be able to play it. In fact, even the solver just prefers really shoving in these kind of spots, or making very big ISOs if not. You're out of position as well. That doesn't help. So at least with ace-3, you're in position, right? You min-raised it. I guess it's okay to min-raise ace-3. I'd limp it as well. Okay, let's go back. So on the flop, we've bet 1/3 pot. Okay, on the turn, we've picked up a gut shot, but the 4 is a very good card for a check calling range of our opponent. So we do have to be wary of that. Let's see what they do. They've lead into us for half pot. I wouldn't say that that's a bad lead. I think that's a good spot to lead because it hits their calling range pretty well. What do you want to do with your ace high? Is your ace high going to be good that often? Well, I mean, a lot of the gut shot type hands that called on the flop, you're now losing to on the turn because they've either hit a pair or they've got a straight. The straight that you're drawing to isn't great. The ace high is fairly unlikely to be good, so yeah, I'll just fold. I would be folding. Nice. Nine, 7. We flop the top pair. This is actually a spot that I wouldn't mind doing a check raise or a lead with your top pair, but they check behind, so that's good. At this point, yes, I do want to be betting. Now, I would say if you don't know what kind of size to bet in general, when you've checked and your opponent's checked behind, I would say for the most part, betting about 75% of the pot, so 3/4 of the pot, is going to be an okay play. Now, sometimes there are reasons to be betting a lot smaller and a lot bigger. Sometimes 2x pot is the preferred play, for example. But yeah, if you're not so sure, you're not that handy about those spots, betting 3/4 of the pot is normally going to be okay EV wise. So that's what I would do. I'd make it 3 big blinds to go. 2 big blinds is fine here. You do have a hand that is kind of vulnerable. There's lots of overcards to the 9. There's the heart flush draw. At least with the straight draw, you've got the 7. So if a 6 does come out, you would have a straight. So at least there's that. But yeah, I personally would have gone a little bit bigger there on the turn. I probably would have gone for pot or 1.5 pot personally. But as long as you're betting, that's the important thing. On the river, I don't like checking here. Your opponent, I don't really see too many reasons why your opponent would have that king. So you're trying to get, I would try and get value here. I'm trying to get value from an 8, from a 5 and a 2. Bluff catchers, basically. What is the kind of sizing that I would be using? If you've already marked someone as recreational, you can just try and get pure value. So if you want an 8 to call, then you probably want to be betting half pot or less. If you want a 5 to call, you want to be betting 1/3 pot or less. If you want a 2 to call, it really doesn't, they either believe you or they don't. So you could even shove and they might just call the 2 or not. So I kind of like betting somewhere in the region of 3 big blinds for pure exploit reasons. If I was playing a good opponent who will make those hero calls and bluff catchers often enough, I would go for a larger size bet. I'd go for something like 6 big blinds here. Maybe even you could go for a thin value shove for the extra soul owned spot if you wanted to. I think it would do pretty well. Ace 3, we raise and get the very small re-raise. This is a horrendous spot to play. I would just fold, personally. I'm just folding. It's just disgusting spot. If they keep doing it, then you start to change your strategy. But yeah, overall, that's pretty disgusting. 9-3 could be a hand against someone who's limping now when they've been fairly aggressive pre-flop. You could try and raise. You know earlier they limped 7-3 offsuit out of position, so we do expect them to be playing any 2 cards heads up. Therefore, we do want to attack something. We either attack their min-raise range or their limp range, or both. I would go for the limps. I think they're most likely where the weakness lies. So any of these trashy type hands, I like raising them, just trying to feel them out to where we can exploit them the most. So I would raise something like 3 big blinds pre-flop, and then on the flop I would bet 1/3 pot, and then we go from there. Generally, that's a general rule of what I would do against a recreational. Anyway, Queen 4 suited, we're limping. Get the min raise, that's okay. Be careful not to call too fast with Queen 4 against that min raise. When you make that fast limp and then that fast call, you are kind of giving away that you don't have, let's say, aces or kings, for example, which you might want to play the way you did. Yeah, just to be careful not to give timing tells away. Against this opponent, it might not matter at all, but it's not a good habit to have in general. 10-4 is the same as the 9-3, where you could try it out. Some plays. When they check behind on the turn, I don't mind probing or checking again. I don't mind either. Either plays. When you do bet, you've got to be calling, for sure. You want to be calling here. I think they're going to have lots of gut shots. Maybe draws, maybe air. Yeah, don't be folding. When you've got a quite strong hand like this, you can't fold to a single raise, I would say. Especially when they check back the flop. The only hand that I see that would want to check back the flop and then raise the turn would be stuff like 7-3, 10-7, and maybe 8-9. Those are the value combinations. And all of those hands could have bet on the flop quite often. So, yeah. I would not have gone anywhere with that hand. 9-7, I like limping. Picked up the 9 on the flop. So if it checks to us, we could have bet. We could check behind. Anyway, 9-7, I like calling. I think it's the only real play. On the 7 turn, we want to play for stacks right now. I would say there's a lot of draws that you just want to like either charge them the max or get them to fold. That would be great. Either or. That's okay with us. I think you raised a little bit too fast. It gives away that you got 2 pair. I think, let's say he's got a hand like Queen 8 or something like this, and he bets the flop and then bets the turn, and then you fast raise him shove on the turn. I think they could be making folds here, and you do not want that. You want them to make the calls. So, yeah. They call with Queen 6, which is great for us. They hit the flush on the river. That's not great. But yeah, overall, we're good. So I'm glad I ended up muting the first video, because this one had far more spots where I didn't agree with the plays. I'm not saying that you played particularly bad. It's just you had more like controversial spots for me. Your opponents seemed weak enough. I think you were the best player on the table, so that is important, to be the best player on the table for sure. I'm sure you're going to be making money in these games. Keep posting hand histories that you're lost in the Discord, and I think you'll go far. For everyone else watching who maybe is a $1 spin and go player, or 25 cents, or what, $2, $5, all of those kind of stakes, really do think about coming over to our Discord channel, and just in general, there you go, he's in there right now. Just in general, talking about bringing hand histories, or in fact, when other people post their hand histories, just mentioning how you think you would play those spots. It's okay if people don't agree with you. Honestly, it's a really good way to learn and practice. It's how I got good at poker. I used to go to a site called Poker Strategy, and they used to have people used to post hand histories, and then I would just like guess, or I would say my piece on it, and then eventually often a professional player would come along and say what they thought. And it's nice to compare your thought process compared to them. No one should be judging you too much if you're trying to improve and you're saying what you think. It's all good. Like, no one's going to be upset for you to give your advice, even if it might be a little bit wrong, because that's how you learn, right? I think some of the best ways to learn is by trying to teach others. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm enjoying these Spin and Go reviews. I've got Spin and Go Max reviews as well to do in the near future. If you like these, please hit the thumbs up button below the video and hit the subscribe button. And if you want certain content, please let me know in the comments, and then I will strive to look at whether I can do that or not. All right, thanks everyone for watching. Peace.